Huddersfield Literature Festival is a beloved community event celebrating the written word in all its forms. This lively festival has become a staple for literature enthusiasts, writers, and the entire town. As they prepare for the imminent launch on 2024 festival, we're honoured to once again sit down with Festival Director Michelle Hodgson to get an inside look at the dedication and complex work that goes on into creating this spectacular experience. Welcome, Michelle. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
And let's go into the first question. It's been a few months since we spoke last. What's been going on? And we're on the eve of the launch now. So can you just give us an update, please?
Well, normally I get very nervous and very busy around now, but my festival manager is looking after more of the logistics this year. So everything's in hand. I had a meeting with her yesterday, which is great to hear. So we're just gearing up with the last arrangements for authors arriving. But yeah, we're all on course.
Okay. Can you walk us through the planning process and what major milestones from the initial concept of the festival that you have now to the opening day?
Sure, it's kind of all year round with little gaps. So around July time, we put in our funding bid to the Arts Council. So we're preparing that in the run up to that. Then you have a 12-week wait to see if they're going to give you the money every year.
That long?
That long, yep. If they're even particularly busy, it can go to 14 weeks. But so we usually hear by mid-October, and then we can hit the ground running. And to start with, it's mostly me looking after the programming. So that's the first thing we deal with. Quickly followed by getting the schedule together, putting together the brochure, thinking about the marketing, starting to send out newsletters with dates and themes, and then obviously ticket sales all through the first part of the year leading up to the festival, and all the logistics that a big festival requires.
I'm looking at this brochure here, and it's just jam-packed with so much diversity and so much imagination. And there's been a lot of talk. We certainly get some comments how it's got stronger and stronger and stronger each year. I was just thinking, how do you showcase big names with emerging talents? Because big names have big egos, and emerging talents probably want to push themselves forward. How do you balance those
Well,
two?
the way I program is that I have a look all year round at what's happening. You know, if the big book is out in the autumn, is the paperback coming out in the spring when we're happening, or could we get a second bite of the cherry for them? So for the big names, I'm approaching publishers about that, you know, all the time. And you kind of have to leave more space for them because they've got limited time, and they may say, oh, we could only do this one day. So often with the local names, it's a question of saying, we'd love to have you, we'll let you know the available dates, you know, give them options, but once we've got a few of the bigger ones in place. But I'm often hanging on at the last minute for someone who might be able to come, and just thinking, can we fit them in if they do? And it is quite it can be a real challenge trying to program and fit everything in. And I turn down so much that I'd love to do, but it's just space. We've got about 70 events this year, and we, you know, any more, I think we just would spread the audience too thinly, and we'd spread ourselves too thinly as well.
Yeah, true. Festival management is a real challenge. You know, could you share with us a story, perhaps last year or year before, where you overcame a big challenge?
Well, one thing I noticed is that other festivals often have an arts centre or a marquee or something that's a central point, and we don't have that. We all work from home. And so about this time last year, I started talking to Huddersfield Live about getting a teepee for the festival duration. And long story short, lots of back and forth with the council, thinking, could we do it in the main square in front of the railway station? And there's a lot of work going on there at the moment, so that wasn't possible. Chance conversation with Becky, who runs the Lawrence Batley Theatre, and she said, well, how would you like to put it in our courtyard? So we're going to have a teepee for 10 days of the festival in the courtyard at the theatre, and that's a real game changer for us, because we're hoping people will come down, have a drink, pick up a brochure while they're there, and maybe they haven't been to the festival before and they'll see something of interest. but also we can use it as a venue. So we have quite a lot of community groups coming in to use it. And then things like we've got the tiger who came to tea doing a walkabout, we've got a dragon coming on launch night, and it all ties in with the theatre and embeds us better in the community.
I'm picking up from there, partnerships have been essential for the success of the Literature Festival. Can you shed some light on that? You're very good at connecting people to your narrative as well.
Well, I think most literature festivals nowadays don't just have an author on a stage. You know, we do a lot of things, whether it's a children's event or open mic poetry. So there are lots of organisations who are already working with particular areas of the community, and it makes much more sense to work with them within the literature festival rather than us putting something on and hoping people turn up. So those community partnerships are absolutely essential. And then there are side projects like the podcast project we're doing with KLTV.
Yeah. You got some big headlines here this year. What do you think the general public are going to get from your programme this year?
Well, sometimes it's not about the big events. We love the big events, obviously, that's great. People have a brilliant night. But sometimes a workshop with 5 people will be really rewarding for the people who take part, and they get a lot out of it. Well-being, learning a new skill perhaps, those sorts of things. So I think it is important for any festival to have the big events, because people will say, well, who have you got coming, and you want to have someone they'll recognise. But also, once you start talking about some of the interesting things that are slightly offbeat, for example, we're doing an outdoor workshop in Eden Forest in Honley, which is kind of out in nature in the woods, and taking creativity from that. So just something a little bit different that people who take part will really enjoy.
So I want to say a big thank you, Michelle, for taking time out, and I wish you all the very best, and your team in the next 4 weeks. And please come back and see us in a couple of weeks' time and share with us how it's going.
I'd love to. Thank you for having me on.
And I wish you all the best. We can't wait to see what the 2024 festival has in store. And to you, our audience, thanks for tuning in. And we hope to see you all at the festival very soon.